Hey folks, it's Matt once again. Welcome back to another review for the Stallone Marathon, and we get to Rocky 5, which I'm going to try to do something a little bit different where I'm going to talk about two versions of the movie. The theatrical cut, and one that I saw just now for the first time, the work print. And if you're wondering, no, the work print does not have the ending where Rocky dies. Because that was the big thing with Rocky 5, that when Stallone wrote it, at the end, Rocky was supposed to die. I don't know what the fuck Stallone was thinking. I don't know what was in his mind when he wrote that first original draft, which also had Paulie trying to commit suicide, either by putting his head in an oven and suffocating or putting a gun in his mouth. Like a failed suicide attempt. I don't know what the fuck Stallone was thinking. I really don't. I really don't. I know his career wasn't doing the best because Tango and Cash wasn't a huge hit. Probably did well VHS-wise and foreign-wise, but not in the US. Lockup was a flop. That's too bad. I like that movie. Rambo 3 disappointed at the box office, even though I think it's a very underrated film. Over the Top flopped, which sucks because I love that movie. I mean, and then you look at Arnold. He's doing well. He's got Predator in '87 that became a big hit. The same year, this Total Recall, which became a huge hit. And I know he was rivalry with Arnold, and Arnold was doing better. And Rocky, some people said, I think Stallone or someone admitted that this was done mainly for greed, which is understandable because, in my personal opinion, Rocky 4 was the perfect way to end it, with him on top of the world. And the thing is, Rocky 5, first off, the work print version was better. When I first saw Rocky 5, I'm going all over the place, I know. When I first saw Rocky 5, it was probably in my teens. Because, like I said, I grew up with Rocky 2, 3, and 4, watching back to back to back. Those are the three I watched when I was a kid. Then I was into my teens, I saw the first one and the fifth one. And when I first saw the fifth one, I hated it. Watching nowadays, the theatrical cut, I think it's okay. Why do I think it's okay? Some stuff I don't mind. I don't mind some of the performances by Burt Young, Talia Shire. Stallone has some decent moments with his son, his real-life son, played by Sage Stallone. I like the song at the end, Measure of a Man, by Elton John. I think that's a beautiful song. I like the street fight at the end. I like Tommy Morrison as Tommy the Machine Gun. He grew on me. When I first saw it way back when, I was like, eh. But I don't mind him. I like Tommy Gunn. You know, I like Tommy Morrison. He was a real-life boxer at the time. And I think he's unfortunately passed away. I think it was from AIDS. Could have been something else. But it's sad that he's passed away. So Tommy Morrison, may rest in peace. I thought he did a good job as Tommy the Machine Gun. It was cool to see Burgess Meredith there. I thought he did a good job for the little bit that he's in. And there's moments I don't mind, but so that's why I kind of look at it as okay. But on the flip side, it's my least favorite of the first 6 Rocky films. I'll be honest, Creed I hate the most. I absolutely hate Creed. I think it's a worthless, pointless movie. And I'll get into that when I talk about that in that video that'll be coming up. If you like Creed, good on you. I fucking hate it. I think it's just a shitty remake of Rocky 1. It's not a sequel, it's a spinoff. It's still related, more like an inbred cousin type of way, but still an inbred. My opinion. Rocky 5, especially the work print. The work print, I urge anyone, I know it's on Daily Motion, if you type in Rocky 5 screener or work print, I recommend anyone give this a shot. Also, I want to thank a really nice guy named Fabio. Really good friend. He's the one who sent me this long ago. I didn't see it at that time because I was waiting for a Stallone marathon. But because in this one, There's a lot of alternate takes to the scenes we saw in the theatrical, but the acting was better. Stallone came off more natural. And then when he was a bit off, they do better explaining that it's the brain damage. There's scenes that were cut out that should not have been cut out, like a great emotional scene between him and his son, where his son is getting ready to sleep and asks his dad about, what's going on, something's wrong, and him trying to explain to his son that, he's been concussed and he's not too right in the head. Also, the music, not having the shitty rap music. Instead, it's either Bill Conti's score or there's a training montage with Vince DiCola's training montage score from Rocky 4. And it just seemed more emotional and just a better film. Like the alternate takes were the better takes than the one in the theatrical. Like the alternate takes in this are better acted and have better emotional impact than the theatrical cut, which I'm like, did they want to sabotage their own movie? And I think that for me, the big problem, and it's not, the reason it's not a rant is, of course, I just saw this. I'm like, wow, this is pretty damn good. It still would be my least favorite of the first six because, but I definitely think it's better than the theatrical cut. And that's because the direction of the story. Some people may be okay with it, but I think the general audience, myself included, did not want the story to turn into Rocky, a character we love, getting brain damage. And before going on, don't give me this, but that happens in real life. Rocky films have never been about real life. Even the first film, it's a modern fairy tale story of an underdog getting a 1,000,000 to 1 shot. These are modern day fairy tale stories. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a knock. There's nothing wrong with that. We grew up with fairy tales. We grew up with modern tales. Tales of triumph and tales of triumph of the human spirit. That's why they make some films, not documentaries. People act like this is a bad thing, a bad word. Die Hard is one of the great action movies. It's not realistic, but it's a damn good escapism action movie. You're not going to be realistic, jumping out a window as the whole roof explodes, and just by luck, you're able to get through the glass as boom, it cuts down, and it's just lucky the cable got hooked there, while in real life it would have been hooked over. I mean, that's why it's not real life, folks. It's movies. These are not documentaries. So don't get me, but in real life, this is what happened, this brain damage. No. When people see the Rocky films, people love that character so much. I can't speak for anyone else. Let me speak for me. The direction of the story, to me, of going with Rocky getting brain damage, having to being forced to retire, losing all his money, his fame, his glory, because Paulie, Burt Young's character, is a fucking moron, and being back to where they were at the first two movies, it's not a story people wanted to see. Obviously, that's the case because they didn't go see it in the theater. They decided to avoid it and stay the fuck home. Or they went and watched Home Alone or some other movies that came out around that time. And granted, just because the film bombs doesn't mean it's a bad movie. Hell, John Carpenter's The Thing bombed, and that's one of the best horror films of all time. But I don't get Stallone's thinking. Why first an original draft, let's make Rocky die, which again, thankfully, that's not in this cut. And if you want to see this cut, then go to Daily Motion. It's on there. I urge anyone to see this. Type in Rocky 5 screener or word print or director's cut, one of them on Daily Motion. It's in parts, but it's definitely worth a look. But like I was saying, in the theatrical cut and the word print, I didn't want to see Rocky get in this depressing state. of getting brain damage and going back to square one, and it just seems sad and dark and depressing. And if Rocky did die, it would be Alien 3 Part 2. It'd be fucking hate as much as Alien 3. I mean, was Stallone, like, did David Fincher read the original script to this and then decide to do Alien 3? It's like, Stallone didn't do that, so I'm gonna go full force with it. I I don't understand the thinking, and that's the big problem. And then Stallone's performance, especially in the theatrical cut, is awkward. It seems like he's really overdoing the accent and really overdoing his performance and forcing it. And granted, that's because of the brain damage and that's the reasoning, but it just comes off as an awkward, weak performance by Sly. And I do think there is some good moments in there. And I definitely think it's more natural in this. This one, his performance is actually pretty damn good. It's sort of where in the theatrical, a lot of it's awkward, but I see some nice shiny moments. And this, most of it is a really good, pretty damn decent performance, but just a couple of moments. It's almost like a switch, like a flip. And also the rap music didn't help. The In the theatrical cut, it seemed like they didn't know whether to have Tommy be a good guy, a bad guy, and then it's like, well, they're trying to make him out to be one because they have Tommy tell the story about how his dad beat him and his mom, and anytime he gets in the ring, he just sees his dad who he beats up. But then at the end, he's a full-blown villain without any of the stuff that thought we were building up to, that he's just lost. The WordPress, I thought, did a better job with it because you see more Rocky and Tommy bonding. At the end of the fight, Rocky puts his hand down and Tommy takes it and he lifts Tommy's body up to stand with him. And it's just, with Rocky 5, it is a mixed bag, but I don't hate the film. It's just Rocky 1, then Rocky 2 I love more. Rocky 3 I love even more. Rocky 4's my favorite. And then this one was just... there's a line of dialogue that says you can't live backwards. And I'm like, well, why are you trying to go backwards, movie? I know Rocky Balboa did that, but Rocky Balboa did that better than this. Much better closure to the series than this. But to me, Rocky 4 is the best closure. But getting more into the film specifically, where it begins with showing Rocky taking the hits. First off, in the work print, they have a nice logo, Rocky 5, where it's just R-O-C-K-Y and then a V. I'm like, wow, that's kind of dynamic. But then you watch the theatrical, it's just white letters, Rocky 5. And I'm like, well, that looks better in work print. And Rocky's shaking the showers. And they cut a line dialogue which worked in the, well, in the theatrical. Rocky's talking about how Mickey said that it feels like you're floating and it's the angels, something like that. Like, it's the angels taking your body away. Some awkward line. And then he tells Adrian, my hands, they won't stop shaking. Well, in the work print, they take out that awkward line of the angels and taking your body away, what the hell he was talking about. And when Adrian goes in the shower, it goes right to Rocky going, my hands are shaking. And I'm like, well, that makes more sense that be the first thing he's talking about. And it made the scene more emotional. Richard Grant is Duke. I would say he seemed less over the top in the work print. And I like Richard Grant, and he was trying to do his Don King only in America. And I enjoy the actor. I've seen him in other stuff. I believe he was in Jason Goes to Hell. I think he's the guy who eats the heart of Jason and Jason Goes to Hell. I think that's Richard Grant. dude. And I liked him in the theatrical. Here, again, it seemed he was less over the top. But either way, I did like the actor. And Sage Stallone, and of course that's the weird thing about it, is that in Rocky 4, the kid is 5 years younger. But apparently if you take a vacation to Russia and fight, you go in some kind of time warp where it goes 5 years forward. And now the son went from, like, what, 8? And now he's like 13 in the course of, God, that was a long ass Christmas time, or that was a much longer fight with Ivan Drago than we remember, because the kid aged 5 years. He left, he was, he's now 5 years older. Someone called Stallone on that on an Ain't a Cool News thing where they were writing questions and Stallone admitted he fucked up. And that's, come on now, that's a pretty big fuck up. But I thought Stallone and his own son has some nice moments, and granted, it's even more sad that Sage Stallone is no longer with us. So maybe that's why I'm giving him more leniency, because it was nice to see those two have some pretty nice scenes together. And even he says that, well, there's something up with Dad. What's going on? And they have some nice bonding moments, even when they first talk with each other. And, well, they're in Sage Stallone's room, and Sly's looking at some drawings and see this big titty woman, and he's like, "Oh, well, that's my French teacher." And Sly goes, "Yeah, she looks French, sure." But again, the theatrical cut seems like the dialogue goes a little bit more natural. It's funny. I remember the Hard Target word print where Van Damme's dialogue was more natural as well. So, is it the ADR? Like Stallone went in the ADR and it became more forced? Or what the deal is? Because even a scene later on where he's talking to Tommy, and in the theatrical, he says a line called, "Are you hungry?" Like, are you starving? And in the theatrical, I was like, "Are you hungry?" What? But in the word print, it's more natural. "Hey, are you hungry?" More, "Hey, are you hungry?" And then the theatrical, "Are you hungry?" That's the thing. It's like, what? But what happened? I mean, Paulie gave the power of attorney to accountant, and they took his money for real estate and blew it all and fucked up. So Paulie gave the power of attorney to the accountant, and the accountant lost all the money, so now they're broke. And then Rocky goes see a doctor, he has brain damage. And once again, I think that's a nice scene where Rocky finds out he can't fight anymore. And he's like, I don't want to retire. And Adrian has to talk him down. That's a nice little moment. But before that, when they're talking to the lawyer, there's a scene that was cut out, but is in this, where Sly, his character actually gets mad at Paulie. It grabs him and looks like he's ready to punch him. And I'm like, that was a great scene. Why the fuck is that not in the theatrical cut? Just like the scene later on when he's talking with his son in bed, and his son's asking, "Are you okay?" And Sly's talking about this concussions he's had, and his son worries about him. And that's another great emotional scene. Why is that not in the theatrical cut? What the fuck? Why are these scenes that are good not in the theatrical cut? Again, were you trying to fuck up your own movie? So, you have a estate auction, Mickey's Gym, a flashback to Burgess Meredith. And both are like alternate takes, depending on whether you watch this or theatrical. And I like both. I like either one. Although Sly's reaction seems more natural. Again, I won't keep saying that in the word print. His dialogue seems more natural. But either one I liked, because I thought Burgess Meredith, nice to see him back in another Rocky film. I love the line, "Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you." I love that. Burgess Meredith is such a great presence. They give it motivation. motivation to stay alive. I got a reason to go on because of you. And cutting to, they're moved back to the neighborhood, meet Tommy Gunn. Duke comes by to offer Sly some stuff. And again, the word print seems a bit more natural in the dialogue, where there's a line of dialogue Sly says that's not in the, I don't think it's in the theatrical. Maybe I'm wrong on that. So this one I may be wrong. But Duke's talking about, oh, you'll be the great white hope. And Sly sort of says under his breath, oh, more like the great white dope. I don't remember him saying that in the theatrical, but I could be wrong. But I like that line, the way he delivered that. And there is some bits of humor, which I enjoyed. Like when they're in the gym and Paulie goes, this guy wants to train. I told him to get married. And then Sly goes, why? And Bert's like, well, that's gym talk. That's sarcasm. Oh, okay. And also Duke had mentioned how, well, maybe you should sign your wife. She has the cojones. And the way Sly asks later on to Paulie, what's a cojones? Paulie explains them. I like that bit. I thought that was pretty funny. And yeah, I thought Tommy Morrison did a good job. Uh, Having dinner, talking about how the father punched him and his mother, and the first guy he knocked out was his father, and anytime he's in the ring, he sees him. I thought that was a good scene. You have Tommy sparring, Rocky's kid Sage having a friendship with this girl at school, Rocky training Tommy Gunn. And the training's a bit different, where in the theatrical, a lot of the training is very condensed in a very short scene, a montage. While in the word print, those are extended, and it's not a montage. Like you have an actual scene of Rocky and Tommy going up the steps and talking. You actually have a scene of Rocky talking to Tommy as he's training him and doing this, this, and that. And I think that better explains the relationship, friendship, than the montage and the theatrical. Although I will admit it's one of the only songs I don't mind from the soundtrack in the theatrical, which is Go For It. Duh, duh, duh. I mean, I don't mind the song by itself. I don't think it needed to be in this movie. It's one of those with you. I don't mind the movie. I don't mind the song by itself. It's just I don't. We don't need rap or kind of rap in this movie. The one song I truly like that I think belongs in the movie is Measure of a Man. And what's funny is in the theatrical, in the word print, another scene that was cut out is Rocky in a bar getting drunk, telling this story about pancakes and how, he was doing that and he slipped and he fell. And so I have an embarrassing story just for fun. And then people kind of turn it on him. And I love the reaction of Sly as he walking out and just the realization of being back to square one, which is what most of us did not want to fucking see in a Rocky sequel. To me, that's the big problem with the movie, is the direction of the story it took. But I do find elements I like, to the point where I do like the film okay. I don't hate the movie. But it is a very flawed film. Which, again, this does fix some of that. Like the acting-wise, emotional-wise, music-wise. I know another scene that's in the word print is a scene where Rocky sees Little Marie, who's the little girl in the first film who says, drop dead creepo, like get away from me creepo, where Rocky warned her, and now in Rocky 5, in this version, she is a bum, maybe a hooker as well, and wants some change. Which is strange because, of course, that wasn't in the theatrical, so then you get Little Marie and Rocky Balboa, and that's a very different thing. But In the theatrical, you have the training Tommy Gunn. It's more of a montage with that song, "Go for it, dun, 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 hard and fire," which I don't mind the song. I just don't know if it need to be in the movie. As dumb as that sounds, to me, rap doesn't work with Rocky. This is not its kind of thing. And Sage Stallone wants Rocky, his dad, to train him, but Rocky's too busy with Tommy, so he's training on his own. And again, in the work print, a lot of these scenes are extended. It's not a montage. Well, here it's a montage. And previously the kid had been beaten at school by boys, but now he beats them back. While Tommy the Machine Gun is seduced by fame and money. And there's a montage of him winning matches. And in the work print, it's much longer. And I actually enjoyed it more in the work print, where it's much longer, where you really see the punching power, you really see the movements of Tommy Gunn and what he could do in the ring, and much more of this friendship with Rocky and Tommy. And of course, it helps that the whole thing is from Vince DiCola's music from Rocky 4, which I appreciate because I love that score. Much longer in the work print. Here it seems much shorter in the theatrical. And then just the Christmas time, and the kid's angry at his dad because the dad won't spend time with him. Duke meets with Rocky, and Rocky warns Tommy about how they suck young boxers dry, not in that way, like the party of Kitty and Studs, but a different way. But he's not gonna listen. Talks with his kid. I thought they have a nice little scene where they get to bond with each other again. I like the scene where he watches the fight and you're just really getting into it, punching his punching bag as he's watching Tommy on the screen. And it shows that Rocky, even despite all the stuff that's gone on, he's still a good-hearted guy. Because even other people are downing Tommy. Even he's done, no, come on, give the guy a chance. He's just, he's just been seduced by these guys. But give him a chance, man. Give him a break. So again, it shows Rocky he's a good guy, really good guy at heart. He's really genuine, just feeling the fight, living his life through Tommy while watching him on the TV screen. And then Tommy thanks Duke, not Rocky. So it's a big slight and a big fuck you to Rocky. But Tommy doesn't have the respect by reporters. People think he's still a chump, even though he won the champion because he was a paper champion. So he challenges Balboa in sort of an old versus new fight. Tommy hits Paulie. You knocked him down while you try knocking me down. My ring's outside. You get a street fight. Didn't care for the rap music in that scene, which I like that in this. It's the Bill Conti score. Two things I will say that I liked more in the theatrical and less in the work print. One is when Rocky sees Mickey. I like the way it's edited better in the theatrical, where it's much more fast cuts, much more. I like the way it pushes into Mickey's face. I didn't care for the word print where he's on this subway train out in the distance. I thought that was kind of hokey. And I thought the last line Burgess Meredith had was kind of weak and low energy. While in the theatrical, I love that it's this pushing in of, I didn't hear no bell. Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you. And it cuts to Rocky and the music rising up. I like that in the theatrical. Here, I thought it was done to lesser extent. So that's one thing I think the theatrical cut did better. Also, in the work print, you don't have Rocky punching Duke, saying, will you sue me for what? I actually like that moment because that guy deserved it comeuppance. But I like the street fight. I believe Terry Funk, the wrestler who has worked with Stallone in a few movies like Over the Top, among others, he actually choreographed the fight. Could be wrong. It's a fun street fight. I mean, my favorite fight is always going to be Rocky 3, then Rocky 4, then 2, then Balboa, then one, then this one. Just because when I think of Rocky, I think of a boxing ring fight. I don't think of a street fight. Sounds stupid, but it's Rocky. But I still think it's a pretty decent fight. And in the theatrical, we just beats the shower out of Tommy with the uppercut, while in the work print, he takes Tommy's hand, lifts him up. I like that better because it kind of syncs up with what they were trying to do with Tommy at the beginning of it. That he's not supposed to be a 100% villain. He's supposed to be a guy who's mixed up. But yeah, Rocky on the steps with his kid, which is kind of sad because of what happened with Sage Stallone. I thought that's a nice scene between father and son. And they walk off, and you have that beautiful song by Elton John called Measure of a Man. And I mean, which I wish was at the end of this, but it's a work print. They don't really have, they don't have end credits on work prints. But yeah, between the two versions, I definitely say this is the much better version. It's kind of a mind blower watching this tonight because I'm thinking, my God, like there's a lot of alternate takes that are better than the takes they use in the theatrical, and there's certain scenes cut. I mean, okay, did we need the scene with Little Marie? No, that could have been that would have been fine on a cutting room floor because it's like there's Little Marie, and then really nothing comes with it. That's fine being cut out. But the rest of it, the scenes between him and his son, and the alternate takes, which I thought had more emotion to it and better delivery, and was less awkward and less hokey line delivery. This definitely had more natural line delivery. I know I keep mentioning, but I definitely think this is the better version. If you've never seen, if you're not too sure in Rocky 5, I would definitely watch this, and then if you still hate it, I could understand. Believe me, it's not a film I defend. I'll defend Demolition Man. I'll defend, hell, I'll defend Detox, for fuck's sake. I'll defend Dick Carter. Rocky 5 is not a film I will defend because I know I repeat myself, but I do that a lot. Sue me. The Wrong Direction. Just no one want to see Rocky get brain damage and have this depressing story of him fall from grace. For a character we love that much, not a story that many of us cared to see. The rap music didn't help matters. And again, the theatrical is like, is Tommy, we care about him because he's a guy who got beat up from his dad, but then at the same time, now he's just a villain at the very end of the film, and that's it. And some awkward performances by Stallone himself. But even the theatrical, I love Measure of a Man. I love some of the moments between him and his son. I thought they were nice. The street fight is fun. There's some nice moments of drama. I like Tommy Morrison. I thought he did a good job in his role. And I think there's a lot of stuff where good intentions. I just don't think, was it? I get the good intentions of wanting to do a serious film in the vein of the first movie. But I felt Rocky Balboa was the right way to do that. Because Rocky Balboa is still an inspiring tale. You still get that sadness and drama with Adrian passing away and dealing with that, but it's still an inspirational story. Here, I don't see any inspiration. With every other Rocky film, 1, 2, 3, 4, and Rocky Balboa, there was that inspiration you felt. There's really no inspiration for this. Not much that I saw. Him in the street fight at the end is just, oh, good, he didn't die, like in the original script. I just said, that's inspiration, okay. But yeah, that was a bad story arc for them to tell. Other than that, there are elements I like that made me think it's just an okay film. And then I'm also in the vein of having just seen this, and this is a better Rocky 5 on this disc. Again, I'm like, wow, the performances are just more. So maybe that's sort of when I don't know, it's one of those films that I'm really of conflicted minds on. Where there's this side, it's like, man, there's that and shitty rap music and fucking. Why they go with this direction? Why in the original idea you want to kill Rocky off? What the fuck? And I know the director John Avildsen wanted to do that. The Rocky didn't killed. I'm like, John Avildsen, you shouldn't talk. You also directed Karate Part 3, which is another piece of shit sequel. I'd rather watch this than Karate Part 3, I'll tell you that. Karate Part 3 did piss me off. But anyway, I'm going, it's 36 minutes on. But hey, give me a break. I'm trying to talk about two versions. Again, I think the film's okay. Bad points is, to me, direction of the story they took, being depressing, some awkward acting by Sly, which I know is supposed to be brain damage, but it's still awkward. No one really wanted to see that. Some off moments of dialogue delivery from the cast. Not making sure if Tommy's the villain or is he not the villain. But good. The song at the end credits. Some of the parts of the points that weren't awkward. I think Sly has some nice moments with Tommy Morrison. I like Tommy Morrison himself. Some nice moments he shares with his real-life son, Sage Stallone. Street fight at the end. Some pretty decent scenes, like when Rocky and Adrian are on the street and Tommy has just gone off and Rocky has had an episode. And Rocky's telling Adrian, I'm not stupid. Okay, you think I don't know where we're at? I hate where we're at. And Adrian goes, well, you're losing us. You're losing your son. You're losing us. And then Rocky's like, oh, I don't want to lose you guys. Nice moments like that. And I'm like, you know what? I don't hate Rocky 5. It has some good moments. It's, again, it is a definite downfall from Rocky 4, though. And 3 and 2 and 1. But again, feel free to go to Daily Motion. Check out the work print. I definitely think it's the better version of the film. Just my opinion. But either way, thanks for watching. Take care, and see you later.